first see what I'm trying to do, it's kind of shocking, and it could be dystopic, because you're like, why? There's no sun, there's no soil, why would you do this? But if you start reading the signs of the world and you see things like 1/5 of the farmland in China is polluted. There's not enough water in California to support our breadbasket. They're all moving to Mexico. When you look at Japan after Fukushima and you say that was their breadbasket, now contaminated, now salted, and then the youth globally don't want to be farmers. They want to go into technology, and so they haven't. So we're left with a 65-year-old average age farmer in the world, and a lot of challenges coming up to our current system. So I think we have to broaden our idea of what farming is and start seeing what's strategic as it relates to the way people want to live, which happens to be in cities, happens to be together. At the end of the day, it's all about trust and transparency. If you can create more trust and transparency with your consumer, you win. The more IP walls you throw up, you lose. The more disinformation campaigns, you lose. They see through it. The community is ready and hungry to investigate that. Problem with the community right now is they're geared to have pitchforks and run around. Not geared to have hammer and nails and create a solution. So I think as you've seen, the networked economy do so much for hotels, do so much for transportation, do a lot for medical, open genome, right? We haven't seen that same thing for food yet. So the next thing in food will be that you're able to harness that network to create a productive solution somehow, to make people feel individually empowered to make a change, rather than just, reporting rhetoric that they hear, rather than having to tribe off, I'm organic, you're not, so I don't like you. I'm GMO, you're not, so I don't like you. It's not about that. It's about finding an answer that makes the world a better place, and I think people are ready for that. In Japan, where they already import so much of their own food, and they pay 3 times a premium for what they call clean food, this is going crazy. It's gangbusters. There's huge vertical farms built inside of old floppy disk factories growing lettuce now. So it doesn't take much convincing in a climate of fear, a fear of contamination, fear of safety, fear of security. But one of the most valid questions, I'm open source, right? So I'm just trying to go after the answer. I'm not trying to, sell something. And one of the most valid questions is, what about energy, right? The sun is free. The ground is free. Dirt, they call it dirt. Dirt is free. At the end of the day, I have no concerns about energy for a few simple reasons. Plants use 10% of the visible light spectrum, 10%. The other 90 is reflected at us. That's why it looks green. So we can create that spectrum now with things like LEDs. So the blue LED, the Nobel Prize, is something that really complemented what I work on. So it filled the spectrum of photosynthetically active radiation. Now that we can do that with 10% of the light, and with that technology getting better every day, energy is less of a concern. One thing that people don't really understand is all plants run on minerals. And so where are we going to get our minerals from? Where are we going to get them for globally when we're leaching them into the oceans currently and into groundwater supplies? But where are we going to get them for this farm? So that's something I'm concerned about. Where do we source phosphorus? This is getting to the very smallest level of saying, all right, we're building systems that are really efficient, that are going to do a lot better job. But at the end of the day, things run on elements. So where are we going to get those elements is probably a bigger concern to me than where are we going to get the energy to feed the system. Part of the problem with getting youth engaged in agriculture is it has no digital interface at all. And so it seems slow, boring, and I want to do something else. And so for us, we've started creating those interfaces. We call them food computers. In the same way that 3D printing started with open source communities, we're creating an open source community of food computing. So they have a little box with a control climate and a brain that they understand. Raspberry Pi, Arduino, things that speak their language, an interface that looks like a game. This gets their attention, and then they realize how beautiful and complex those objects are, those plants are, that you can do so much with them recursively.